I'm Janet Adams. I'm from Webster City, just a little ways over that direction, just behind you. And I'm so happy to be here today. I am a strong Hillary Clinton supporter. Yay! She cares about my family, and she cares about your family. And she understands why we need affordable child care, why we need affordable health care, and she supports paid family leave, which is another high priority. I was told I couldn't touch it with the president candidate. Our children and our grandchildren appreciate the fact that Hillary is so strong on controlling college student debt. That's a big issue, and we're so happy she is addressing that. And she knows why we need a livable wage, and she'll fight for it. She has been fighting for it, and she'll continue to do that. She knows effective foreign policy. We all know that. And I care about the environment, and so does she. She has great policies that will keep this environment safe and protected. She wants people who are handling our investments to do it in the right way and in a fair way. Another big important thing. Hardworking staff and volunteers have laid the groundwork for all of us now to get everyone out to the caucuses in support of Hillary. We need you, all of you, to sign up for a shift, to join, to help us make phone calls, knock on doors, tell our families and friends that we need to do these important things to get ready for the caucuses and then to be there. If you didn't get a chance to sign a commit to caucus card as you came in, be sure to do that before you leave. That's very important. Hillary is the best candidate, no doubt about it. Yeah. She has the most common sense. She has the most experience, and she's a trusted leader that gets things done, and that's what we need. We need you now, as I said before, and your family and friends to lead the trail to the caucuses so that they all end up in that spot in your caucus room where the biggest crowd is going to be gathering. So work toward that. We can do this, and together we will do this. We need Hillary for Iowa, for the United States, and for the world. And now we know how critical it is. Now you're going to hear from someone who, after the election, will be saying, Madam President.
Thank you very, very much. First, I want to thank Janet Adams for what she said and for being a precinct captain. And I want to ask all of you, since the caucus is on the 1st, to please commit to caucus for Hillary, to be a precinct captain if you can, or a volunteer at the caucus, or help us knock on doors or make calls before then. I really admire the hardiness of the people who are doing that here today, because it's cold outside. I love what Janet said about Hillary getting things done. You know, after she finished that 11-hour ordeal with the Special Benghazi Committee, and she pushed those folks back pretty good. I called her and she said, well, what do you think? And I said, I think I'm going to vote for you. It's a big part of being president, being strong enough to stand up to mindless partisan attacks. The only time in our history we had 7 committee hearings on the same thing, when hundreds of Americans were killed, military and diplomatic, in 4 incidents in Lebanon in 1983. We still had patriots in both parties, and the Democratic Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, had 1 hearing on it. 1. And they found out, for example, that when all the soldiers were killed, the gate into the compound wasn't locked. They found out all kinds of things. And they made recommendations. And that's all they did. And monitored whether the recommendations for improved security were implemented. Here, when the Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee said there is not a shred of evidence in these rumors that they still propagate all the time, They just ignored it because they're results oriented. And that's a big part of the choice the American people are going to have to make. You want somebody to get something done or not? And it's very important that we win this in the trenches. So I'm going to tell you some things I know about Hillary that I think might sway some voters in the last few days. I want to thank the other people who have talked. Nicole Conrad, Precinct Captain, thank you for the great talk you made. State Representative Helen Miller, thank you for being here. And Mayor Matt Bemmer, I had a great talk with you. Thank you for being here. He said he read my book, Back to Work, which I wrote 5 years ago, but sadly, because the GOP's had at least half the Congress since then, it's been, a lot of those recommendations are still highly relevant today and present in the platforms of every Democrat running, which I'm proud of. But I want to talk to you about the decision. First, let me explain what I think is going on with this incredibly divided and intense, but not particularly enlightening debate, at least on the other side. I watched Frank Luntz on Fox News last night conducting his little focus group of the Republicans who went to the Republican debate. Anybody see it? It was fascinating. He said, how many of you think the president ought to be impeached? They all raised their hands. He said, how many of you are mad at Congress? They all raised their hands. Why are you mad at Congress? Well, we elected them and they didn't repeal Obamacare. It wasn't for lack of trying. They voted over and over and over to do it. I think they're up to almost 60 times now. Well, what are you going to replace it with? I don't have any idea. Just against. How many of you heard the President's State of the Union speech? Here's where I think the rub is that you have to resolve within the Democratic primary, and that is also tearing the Republicans up and running the risk that we're dissolving from e pluribus unum, out of many one, into communities of collective resentments. Everybody wants you to hear their beef instead of create an America that works for everyone. So you did hear the speech. So, you know, basically the president said, we're in better shape than any other big country in the world today. We're growing faster. We've created more jobs. We've replaced the jobs we lost in the Great Crash and gotten millions more at the fastest rate since the 90s when I served. We're doing that. We have the best university system in the world, the best technology network. We have the most diverse workforce. We're younger than all the other big countries in the world except for China. We're moving along toward the future. Nobody has a better capacity to generate clean electricity from the sun and the wind than we do. Iowa, Minnesota, and the oil capital of America, Texas, already get 30% of their baseload electricity from wind. These new battery storage capacities are going to allow us to store wind and solar energy for a week or so, and once that happens, it's over, man. We'll never need any kind of greenhouse gas producing energy to generate electricity again. We're doubling the size of the mileage of our cars. We're moving, even in this period of low gasoline cost, the electric cars are still coming out at a record pace. We're in good shape for the future. That's all true. So why is this such a controversial election and everybody's all torn up and upset? Because it's not the only truth in America. All these things exist alongside the fact that inequality is still raging throughout the country, and we haven't rebuilt the middle class and given poor people a chance to work their way into it. 84% of the American people, after you adjust for inflation, have not yet gotten a raise since the crash. Half the American people, if you adjust for inflation, are making about what they did the last day I was president 15 years ago. And there are many reasons for that. One is there are more people in the country, so we need even more jobs. Second is bank lending is only now returning to normal, and we fell out of the top 10 in the world in new business formation, and an enormous percentage of the jobs we got when I was president were in small businesses. New entrepreneurs, new people starting up, people believing they could begin again. So we got to address that. Another is that we're not in the top 20 anymore in the percentage of women in the workforce. Now, Janet addressed that, but I want to talk about that as an economic strategy. It's morally important to have equal pay for equal work. And that's the right thing to do.